What's up, growers? How's it growing? Welcome to High Hopes. I appreciate you being here. Today we are talking tomatoes. What's the difference between determinate and indeterminate? How do you prune them? If you're here, you love them and you're growing them. So, how do we grow them the right way to get the most tomatoes? Well, we're here to talk about it. First thing, we need to know whether it's determinate or indeterminate. That's your first step. If they are determinate, they are generally more of a bush. They have a determinate end cycle for their growth, which means that they're not just going to keep going if the weather is good. They're going to stop when their genetic trigger tells them to stop. Should you prune determinate tomatoes? Well, that's the question, isn't it? Honestly, it wouldn't be the greatest idea. You probably shouldn't prune your determinate tomatoes too much because, like I said, they're determinate. You get some sets of flowers and some sets of fruit, and that's all you're gonna get. Like, once it's done, it's done. So pruning determinate tomatoes, not the best choice. Let them go. That's gonna be your plant it and forget it tomato almost, because it's just best if you put a cage around it and let it kind of go wild on you. Because the more you prune it, the less you're gonna get on fruit at the end of your season, at the end of everything. So you can prune it if you definitely wanted to make it nice and prim and proper and maybe not so crazy. Certainly you can prune it, but you will be losing yield if you do. Just keep that in mind. So here is a little gander at my determinate tomatoes. I don't have very many. I have a Best Boy and a Roma. I do believe they're both hybrids, but I'm gonna put some cages around these and I'm gonna let these guys bush out. I've already got some fruit coming in on my Romas right there, so that's cool. And I have quite a few flowers coming in on the Best Boys. So we're gonna let these go crazy and do what they wanna do, because these are determinants and I am not going to stunt their growth or their productivity in any way. All right, let's talk indeterminate tomatoes now. Indeterminate means that it will grow indefinitely as long as your weather holds and your pest issues hold and your disease issues aren't overwhelming you or anything like that. Indeterminate tomatoes will grow for as long as your weather holds out for you, essentially. Now, how do we get the most out of our indeterminate tomatoes? That's where the pruning really comes into play, okay? So here I have several different tomatoes. I'm growing all different kinds of tomatoes this year, and this is my first real big year growing a lot of tomatoes, so I'm super duper excited to see how everything turns out. And about 95% of the tomatoes that I have out here are absolutely indeterminate. So the biggest thing that people question is, how do I prune my indeterminate tomato plant? I have a tomato plant right here that is the perfect example for everything that needs to be done when it comes to indeterminate tomato plants, because let's just say the truth, I've been slacking. I've been slack-a-lacking out here. All right, here we have a perfect tomato example, like I said, that needs a lot of work done to it. I've already snipped a sucker right there. Down here, we have actually tons of suckers going on. We have a lot of pruning to do on this bad boy. So, right here though, what is a sucker? You have a leaf, and then you have a point in between the leaf and the main stem that comes out. This is a sucker. Everything that comes in between your leaf and your stem is a sucker. This has the potential to grow an entirely new plant and produce entirely new sets of flowers, as this one is doing. As you can see down here, I am incredibly behind. Here is another sucker that is developing its own set of flowers here, and another sucker I have developing its own set of flowers down here. So I've got a lot of pruning to do on this. And this is scary. This is the scariest part right here, because look at everything that's producing already here, especially this right here. This is gonna go away too, and I'll tell you why in a second. All this stuff here, very scary to take away when you are looking and wanting more fruit. And it seems counterproductive to take this away when you want more. But it's not, because by doing this, taking these suckers off, you are giving more energy to the root system and to the growth of the plant. Right now, this energy is going to these suckers so that they can get big and that they can flower. But if you take these away, now this energy that was going here is going to go here. It's going to go down here, and they're going to get tall. We want them at least to reach our second spot here on our trellis, right? We don't want them so short. So we need to get that length. We need to get that height. Again, these down here, very overdue for plucking. So we're going to take those. Now, if you are not comfortable snapping, or grabbing, you can always cut these. I am a lazy gardener, so I do not have my scissors out here. I have a couple more leaves to prune on this right here, so I'm going to take this one off. Okay. So now I have one big lead here, and I actually have a double lead that, honestly, even though I said I was going to do one lead, that looks really good to me. All right, here we are at the top of this lovely plant. And this is my main lead right here. But I have flowers starting already. This is a flower cluster, which are otherwise called trusses. I had to look at my notes for that. So one of the things that you kind of want to do too is, like I just mentioned this before, if your tomato plants are a little on the short side and they're already producing flowers, don't be afraid to clip these suckers off. If you're about 1.5 feet or 18 inches, if it's that tall or less and you're developing flowers, then you go right ahead and pluck these so that you can get a better yield later on. Taller, stronger plants. We want the energy to get big first. All right, let's talk about pruning leaves themselves. You don't really want to prune leaves that are nice and healthy, because this is what's bringing in all the energy for growth, okay? Down here though, you want to pay attention to anything that is about 4, 5, 6 inches. And of course, as it grows taller, you're going to take a look at the bottom a little bit more. But these leaves, as you can see, are already yellowing and getting a little funky on the bottom. The lower leaves and branches are exactly where these pests start to come in at. All the things that come in up from the ground and start eating away at things. So your diseases and your pests, to keep them more at bay, trim your leaves that are touching the ground or about to touch the ground, okay? This is still a pretty short plant, so I'm going to leave that other leaf there. So let's talk about lead systems and which one should you try. And honestly, you can try them all. If you have several different plants, you can try a 1 lead system, a 2 lead system, or a 3 lead system to see what works best for you. I'm going to go ahead and go back and forth between 1 lead and 2 lead based off of what I have for my slew of tomato plants that I have to trim today. But let's just talk about what system is going to get you the most yield. And that, I think, is one of the main things that we are looking for, is the biggest yield of tomatoes, right? So that is going to be a 2 lead Y system. Do 1 lead, or you can do 3. So you can try different ones and see which works best for you. All right, growers, it is time for me to get to work and finish these tomatoes. I appreciate you coming in, and hit that like, hit that subscribe, share the love, share the knowledge, and I can't wait to see how your tomatoes turn out. Thanks, everybody. Till next time, high hopes.